Thank you for joining us. With me now is Dorothy Johnson-Speight. She's the founder of Mothers in Charge. Mothers in Charge is a national organization with 10 chapters across the U.S. The mission is violence prevention, education, and intervention. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
What's been the biggest challenge that you face with regard to violence prevention among young people?
I think one of the major problems, and the thing about violence is it's such a complex issue. There's so many things that contribute to it. But I think one of the things that contribute to violence is the availability of guns. There's so many guns in so many communities across the country. And people can get their hands on guns. Young people, teenagers can get their hands on guns so readily. And I think that's one of the problems. We see a lot of conflict oftentimes or, disagreements, and they end up with someone taking someone's life because of the anger and the availability of guns.
For you, this has been personal because of what happened to your son.
Yes.
How has that influenced your work?
It has been the reason for my work. My 24-year-old son, Khalid, was shot to death over a parking space many years ago. And for the last 13 years, I've been working every single day on the front lines with the issue of violence, especially gun violence with young people. Khalid was a graduate of University of Maryland and a great young man, and someone very angry and out of control shot him 7 times over a parking space dispute.
As a mother myself, I feel for you, and I also am just in awe of how you've been able to channel that into the work that you have done. Where do you draw your strength from?
I think, of course, my faith is a very important part of everything that I do, but the love I have for Khalid, the love I have for my firstborn, my only son, is kind of the wind beneath my wings because of his life and also because of his death, that this work is very important to me. It's because of Khalid.
Yeah, you do it for him?
Yes.
What are some of the biggest successes that you've had with Mothers in Charge?
Well, one of the things we've done, we've published a book. It's called Mothers in Charge, Faces of Courage. And it's a beautiful tabletop book that shares the story of 25 members of our organization, 25 moms who've lost a son or daughter or loved one to violence. And that's important because it's important for us to tell our stories and not just have it be a statistic or, these children were our lives. They were our loved ones, and we want to never, ever forget them. And we want people to understand their life and the tragedy of their death. So this book shares the stories of these mothers in their journey of grief and loss, but also, more importantly, it's an inspirational kind of book. It, I think, shares the courage of these 25 women that are in the book and how they were able to overcome such a tragedy, but now have made their life's work working to address this issue.
You were just on stage.
Yes.
And you were with some women who, like you, have been tirelessly fighting against violence. How does it empower you to be at the summit, to meet women who are fighting alongside you?
This is amazing. This summit is amazing. Number one, it's about women, and we have such power. Sometimes we don't realize the power that we have, but to be on the stage this evening with other mothers who've lost children, it lets me know that I'm not alone in this fight. Sure. I think shared grief and pain is lessened. So just being with them tonight, at the end we held hands, and we felt something because we share that common bond, something that no one should have to, but it's a common bond that we all share, the loss of our children because of violence. And so I'm sure that we will stay in contact with one another, as we continue this journey of working to make a difference on this issue, because that's what we all want to do in memory of our children.
And what can we do for those of us who hear the message, who are moved by it? What can people do to help with this issue?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I do believe there's something that each and every one of us can do. You know, whether you volunteer with an organization like Mothers in Charge, or whether you mentor a young child who may be making bad choices and bad decisions, or may not have the support that's needed in his life, that may avert, you know, him from making a choice to pick up a gun. You know, being involved in so many ways, if you're writing your legislators, you know, or if you're, you know, helping raise funds for an organization that's doing the work, because nonprofit work is, you know, oftentimes difficult to raise funds to do. So there's so many ways that, you know, each and every one of us can be involved on this issue to make a difference.
Every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps, and everyone has something to give.
Thank you so much for speaking with us.
You're welcome.